Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on Their Fight Story. I have Darius Estel with us. Darius, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you. How did you get involved in martial arts?
Oh man, all my life I had to fight. Now, I started with boxing a long time ago, and then boxed in high school. Went to the army, and got turned into other styles, and started liking it. And it's a long story, but yeah, man, learned one thing, learned another before I knew it. I was a badass, and I had all these different skills, and I couldn't just use it all in boxing, so I wanted to compete. So MMA came up.
Why'd you pick MMA?
Um, I wanted to use everything I'd been learning. So I started with boxing, of course. Then later I got into jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and did jiu-jitsu competitions. I done amateur Muay Thai fights and boxing fights. Then I did amateur MMA, and it was like, wow, this is the chance for me to actually get to apply everything I've been learning.
Hmm.
So it was pretty fun. So that's why I wanted to be considered the best all around. I wanted to test myself against fighters, with entire toolboxes
Yeah.
instead of just one thing.
Now, your name is Solo Beasts. Where did you get that from?
It means a loner in a pack. I'm still a beast. So you catch me by myself or with a group, you're gonna get the same guy, the same beast.
Nice. I like that. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah, because somebody's always like, I'm the lone wolf, but it's like they don't know that when you see a lone wolf, they're usually a pack in a line right behind them, so they're never really alone.
Yep. Yep.
So you
Yep.
gotta be careful.
Yep.
Nice, nice. How do you balance your fight and um, your fight career and your personal life?
People make time for what they want, and one of my pet peeves is people when people say they don't have enough time. You have enough time for anything that you want to do. If it's something that you need to do, you'll find a way to do it.
Mhm.
So, honestly, I just make time for what I want. Like fighting is a part of me, training is a part of me. So, like, that's one of those things that's mandatory.
Mhm.
I'm gonna make time for that. Just like when I go see my family, just like when I need to eat. It's one of those things. It's like part of life. You make time for what you want, and that's something that definitely it's part of me. So I make time for it.
Where are you currently training?
I'm in Michigan, top team in Michigan.
Okay.
And then we have our sister gyms, of course, like the Detroit Jiu-Jitsu Academy,
Hmm.
Formula. But yep.
And who currently manages you?
My manager is Carlos Correa. He is with Chess Moves Management.
Oh, I've been trying to get a hold of him, and we keep missing each other.
Really?
Yeah.
Just talked to him the other day.
He's an awesome dude. I like him.
Yeah, he's cool.
I like him. So, do you have any fights coming up soon?
Man, I thought July 10th was going to be a great fight, but the injury had to, back out of that one. So right now, I'm really just focusing on rehabilitation. Should be a short-term healing process, 4 to 6 weeks. Right around the end of that, I'll start looking around for fights again. Just healing right
Okay.
now.
Now, you do a lot of traveling for fights.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, because I know you fought for Ammo, you fought for Cage Titans, WXC, LFA. How was your fight? Like getting fights out here before you had Carlos Correa. How were you
Oh,
managing?
so before, I like fighting out there. For one, like the accent you have right now that you might not even realize you're using, I love it. Like it's awesome. Like I love your accent. So when I come out there and I fight with you guys, like I like to just like have conversations. Like that accent is like so like it's like I don't know. It's cool. So you sound cool.
Oh,
But
thank you.
you're welcome. No, before I was having a rough time finding fights here in Michigan. When I started my career, I started off just like challenging and calling everyone out. And you can call it a mistake, you can call it a good thing, but I ended up beating like some of the top guys in Michigan, like in the beginning of my career.
Hmm.
So what that did was it made it difficult for me to find fights in Michigan.
Hmm.
So I was just like, I'm tired of this. Every time I'm trying to get a fight, like people were literally refusing to fight. Like they were
Hmm.
like cursing out promotions, like, "Hey, we're not fighting him. You're crazy."
Yeah.
So it was this thing like, all right, well, you know what? I need to get on here. I need to find some fights. I don't care who I'm going to fight. So I just started, hitting up, management, different promoters from out of town.
Hmm.
I had fought out of town before in the amateur circuit. So it was one of those things where like, okay, yeah, we got to fight for you. You're going to come out here and you're going to fight our top guy out of town.
Hmm.
I always believe in myself. I'm confident in my skills. So I'm like, well, sure. I'll go in someone else's backyard and fight. And I don't know, I got addicted to it. The whole crowd booing, then the cheer at the end. Everyone hates you in the beginning. It's like, it's one of those things, man. I got
Yeah.
addicted to it. So, yeah. But I like fighting out there.
But we like seeing you fight over here. It's always great because, like you said, you're fighting the top people. So
Mm-hmm.
it's always like, and then we see you. So now you've become part of us. So now it's just like, oh, like
I know.
crap. Like we gotta, we support this one, but we also support this one. So it's just like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like we've
Yep.
seen, you fought a few of my friends, and
Yeah.
you've won, but it doesn't make it any less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's still intense to see both fighters put in all their work, and
Yeah.
the one who gets it gets it. I mean, there's really
Mhm.
nothing else you can say. You just have to
Yeah.
go back to your gym and work on it and get better.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
One of the beautiful things about fighting is like it's an art, like martial arts. No
Hmm.
matter how good you are, like you put two people in that cage, they both believe they can win. 100%. You ask them both, yeah, they're gonna win. So when you put two people in the cage and you let them just do their thing, it's gonna they're gonna create art, martial
Hmm.
arts. So that's why it's so beautiful. Like the whole fighting in general, it's beautiful. It's an art.
Yeah, no, that's important because people, like I've said before, they forget that it's mixed martial arts. So you
Mm.
have all these different arts together, and you're putting it all out there. And
Yep.
some
Yep.
people just are boxers and now they want to do MMA, which is
Yep.
great. But if you're going to do it, you better know your ground technique because they will be taking you down at some point.
Yep. Exactly.
Whether you want it or not, you're going to be taken down
Yep.
unless
Gone
the
are
other
the
person
days where you can
finishes.
just show up with no one style and find your way. Like that's over.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm always like, oh my gosh. But when you come out here, do you bring your coaches with you?
Yeah. Yeah. I usually bring one or two coaches with me. Yep.
Okay.
In this particular fight, it's crazy because a lot of my buddies were actually going to fly in. Like some people I hadn't seen from my army days were going to fly in
Nice.
and watch the fight. I was excited. It's like, man,
Well, they do have another show in August and
mm,
November.
really?
So if you're recovered by then, hey, it's another option if you want
Oh,
to.
sure, I'll be. Yeah, that'd be awesome. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you have time. Yeah,
Yeah, telling me good news.
exactly. Um, how important is it for you to have a good management team? Because I know a lot of fighters don't have management teams, and I feel like if they don't really understand the importance of it, they could jeopardize their career.
Mm, very important because I mean, verbatim what you just said. You got bad managers, you can jeopardize your entire career. Your
Mhm.
manager can rub people the wrong way. They can speak ill. You know what I'm saying? Like say the wrong things behind what you don't know. So yeah, it's very important. Your manager is supposed to be able to find you fights, get you like good fights. Like we're fighters, we have egos, so we just a lot of times jump in. A manager's supposed to kind of, I don't want to say protect you, but they're supposed to get you in positions where there's good opportunities.
Mhm.
Like they're supposed to get you into the stages where, hey, I'm going to win and they're going to see me.
Mhm.
They're supposed to make those connections behind the scenes. They're supposed to make it so you can just focus on training and not have to focus on reaching out to promoters and finding your own fights, helping you with sponsors. They have a lot of responsibilities as far as
Yeah.
having a good manager goes. But it's critical, man. It can make or break you in some aspects of the sport once you get a certain degree or a certain level.
So your management team is supposed to guide you and lead you to the right places.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that you only had, well, maybe I'm wrong, but two amateur fights, MMA fights,
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
you went pro.
Yeah, so that's a misconception. There was a huge issue with that. So
Okay.
Michigan back in the days where I was fighting, I got out the army and I moved back to Michigan. They weren't sanctioned, so a lot of my fights they didn't go on there, and I didn't
Okay.
know that until like later when I was like, I refused to fight more amateur fights because it wasn't counted.
Hmm.
My amateur record is actually 13-2.
Okay.
Um, but what had happened was I was fighting all these fights on the amateur brackets here on this side, and nothing was counting.
Hmm.
And rewind years ago, Michigan and other states weren't sanctioned yet. So when it came time for me to find, go pro, they were like, "Hey, man, we're only showing you have, like one or two amateur fights." And I was like, "What?" So it was a whole big mess. But yeah, no, I actually have 15 amateur fights: boxing, Muay Thai, MMA. You know, yeah. So
Oh,
I've
okay.
got some experience.
There's nothing wrong with it. I just wanted to know because a lot of people will do just two or three and then boom, they'll go pro, but then they ruin their professional career because they didn't give themselves enough time.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, based on that, it was showing two fights, and then you're doing great in a professional. So it's like, wow, like, what's your secret? You know what I mean? And then
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I gotcha.
No, yeah, just a lot of them weren't counted on there. But yeah, I had championships as an amateur. Yeah, I had a pretty good amateur career.
Now, your skills, did you learn them in the army or once you got out of the army?
What skills?
Well, I can't even say combat because they're both combat.
So
So,
I have a very particular. Now, I was about to quote "taking" on you, but no. So I learned some skills in the military, and I learned some skills before. So I started boxing in high school.
mhm,
So I had boxing, and then when I got into the military, I learned like some more. But then I had to learn like jujitsu, and then I
yeah.
learned kickboxing, and then when I got out, I started to like really dive in, and that's when I really started like different stuff. Wing Chun and Kung Fu, wrestling, jujitsu, Japanese jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, Chinese boxing, regular boxing, Muay Thai, and kickboxing. Just a lot of things. Just as the journey went, I just started learning more stuff,
Mhm.
training with like um, new people, new teammates, new coaches coming from different places, and I just kind of use life as like my university. So even if I'm a better fighter as someone and they come into the gym, I can still learn from them.
Yeah.
It's an aspect of putting your ego aside, seeing what this person has to offer, and then bringing something to the table, and then letting whatever they have, whatever their strong point is, let them bring it to the table, and you both learn. So that's probably why I got as good as I did, and that's why I was looking forward to July 10th so I can show you.
Don't worry. There's still a couple more months in the year that we'll be seeing you again fighting.
I'll show you soon before the year's up. Or you've already seen, but yeah, I'll show you. I got some improvements I made. I want you to see.
How has COVID been treating you? Well, not COVID, but like the pandemic and all that.
Yeah, it was a rocky start. Everything was closed, so it was really rough. Training was kind of difficult in the beginning months of last year, and then once we opened back up, though, at the
Hmm.
gym, it went pretty smooth. I'll say that there's definitely was some obstacles.
Hmm.
But now I think at this point, with things being mostly open, trainings resumed as regular.
And how was your experience before the pandemic and then after, or towards the end of the pandemic when you were fighting?
Before the pandemic, it was great. I had a great training schedule, camp. Everything was like like amazing.
Hmm.
The first time I was supposed to fight, um, what's my opponent's name? I just look at them as victims, so I forget their name. What was my opponent's name again?
The last one was solo
No,
that
yeah, I
you
beat
had.
him. The guy I was gonna fight, July 10th.
Oh, Don Chanis.
John Chinch, yeah. See, like I get in my brain, it's like just a victim, so I don't even like care about their names. Like I just like whatever. But John Chinch, so like we were supposed to fight before the pandemic, and training was great, everything was good, and the pandemic hit 2 weeks before we had to cancel the fight. So um, this is starting to remind me of Tony Ferguson and Khabib, man. Like how everything just fucking the world falls down, like shit. So if Don goes to the UFC, maybe I'll see him there one day. If not, then sure, in August we'll do it, and I'll beat him then. But training is resumed finally. It's not bad now. It's finally to where I have my training partners back. I'm not just kind of doing my own thing, which
Mhm.
isn't bad. But yeah, training's good now. Nice steady schedule. My teammates always step up and help me out. It's cool.
Have you always been training with Michigan Top Team?
No, I have not. But I've been with Michigan Top Team for the past like I think 5 or 6 years, man. That's like my home.
Okay.
I'm glad I am with them now. I literally found a home away from home.
Yeah.
Before I was at a couple different gyms. I was at another gym in Michigan. I don't even want to give them like credit. I don't even want to say their name because it was like a cult. They taught me some good stuff, but like, and yeah, so, yeah. But Michigan top team is where it's at, man. Michigan top team, Detroit Jiu-Jitsu Academy, Assembly, Formula. Those are like our sister schools. But yeah,
When you decided to leave that gym, that school, what motivated you, or what caused you?
the gym that I didn't like.
Yes,
Okay, what motivated or caused me to what?
to search for another place to call home.
Okay, I'm gonna say the name just because since you like inquiring about it. Want me to say the name of it? I'll
It's
do.
up to
I'll
you.
do it
I'm
for
just
you.
saying.
I'll do it for you.
Go ahead.
So I was at Cooper's for years, and the reason I bring him up because I met some of my like, best friends there. Like Ali Hamka was one of my teammates and best friends. I met him there, so we're still like friends to this day. He's a Michigan top team, helps me. He was in the corner for last fight. So Cooper's gym was where I was at. Now don't get me wrong, I met some amazing people there who are still friends with me today. So I'm grateful. Skills and techniques, I learned some badass stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
But the gym's format was more of like a cult.
Mm-hmm.
It was all centered around like the owner who called himself the Grandmaster Sensei, who would make you like bow every time you came in, every time you walked in, or his blood you bow. He had like rules where like he had like a law, like his word is law, like he comes before your family and your friends, and he'd keep you there like 2 a.m. to listen to him talk sometimes, and like violent mandatory hours outside of like personal, like you weren't allowed a personal life when you left the gym. It was like a cult, basically. Like it's the only way I can kind of position it. And in order to learn really good techniques and skills outside of like the basic jab cross classes, you had to like drink the Kool-Aid of this cult and come to like special trainings. It was just a whole mess. So it was crazy, man. Like, yeah.
What advice would you like to give to other fighters that are probably in a situation where they're stuck between loyalty and basically their future because they feel that they owe it to this particular gym or school, or you know what I mean? Like they feel like they can't leave, but staying there is actually hindering their career.
Man, you getting deep. Okay. Great question. So don't let loyalty become your prison. Like sometimes people will try to use like the whole loyalty thing as a form to keep you. But if you're going home at night and you're not happy multiple days in a row, or you feel like your loyalty is causing you pain, kind of like an environment where you like truly don't want to be in, or you don't enjoy the environment, you can't be yourself, it's time to leave. Like if you're in any type of environment where you have to like alter who you are, then it's time to leave. Like if you're being taken advantage of, things like that, like it's just time to leave, man. Like it's just one of those things. Like when you're at a place where you're comfortable, you can be yourself, and you're not walking on eggshells. And if you're in an environment like that, like you shouldn't be there. Like you should feel good and be excited about training. When I was at that other gym, I wasn't that. I was just like, it was miserable. Like, fuck. Like, training shouldn't be miserable. It should be hard. It should be challenging. It should put you in uncomfortable positions. But when it's all said and done, you should be happy about it. So if you've got to, like, force yourself to go to the gym because you're miserable about the people who are there, you need a new place.
Okay.
Same with work or anything like that. If you're miserable and you're like dreading going there, like it's probably time to do something else. If that's like your feeling for an extended period of time.
Yeah, because then you're in a toxic environment.
Yep.
As a fighter, anybody, nobody should be in a toxic environment. Exactly. And as a fighter, it's very important to have your mental state, be mindful of everything that's going on to prepare yourself for that situation that you're going to be in. You're going to be in a cage, you're going to be in a ring where you're putting your life at risk. You can't afford to jeopardize also your mental state on top of all the other sacrifices that you're doing.
Yep. What sparked that question? That was a good question.
I've always wondered, because I've seen fighters that should walk away from a certain situation and then they don't, because they're like, well, I've been training with this person for 10 years, or when I first got out of high school, they brought me in and they told me, and, they showed them all this stuff. But then it's like, yes, but you're not really growing. Like you have so much potential that it feels like they're not reaching it, because I've seen coaches which bothers me. I really don't understand all of the dynamic about coaches and stuff, in the sense that I always feel that if your fighter is in the cage, is in the ring, and is doing everything that they need to do, then you need to support them no matter what. You know what I mean? And if the fighter isn't listening to you, then that's something you need to address after the fact. That's something that you address when you guys are on your way home or whatever. Just give them that time.
Right.
You know, because we all go through things. But I've seen a coach in several situations that their fighter lost. Right. And it's not even just one fighter, it's whoever their team is. So like their school, if their fighter lost, they wouldn't get in the ring or the cage with them. So then at first I was like, maybe he's letting the other corners go in, you know? And then I noticed that one time this fighter, the coach thought the fighter lost, but he actually won. So he didn't get in the ring with him because he thought he lost. But when they announced his name, he was scrambling to get into the ring. So then at that point, I was like, oh, so you're not really standing on the side to let somebody else go in the ring with this person. You just don't want to be standing next to him unless they win. So and it's always bothered me, but I've always felt like maybe this fighter just doesn't want to leave because they feel like their loyalty and they're committed, but then their career doesn't go where it's supposed to go.
Sounds a lot like my last gym. It's like when you win, we won. When you lose, you lost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta be careful about gyms like that, man. Those are the ones, and you know what? The sad thing is a lot of people in your life are gonna be like that. But
exactly.
Worse, like when it's your gym, because like you said before, they're supposed to have your back. They're supposed to support you no matter what. So when your gym is like that, that's unfortunate because you're already going to deal with like people like that in your day-to-day life anyway. You know, and that's how it is, man. When you're on top, everybody wants to see you. Hey, take pictures. And when you're on the bottom, oh shit, no, screw that guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Situations like that, man, a person should definitely leave the gym.
So Dave Tripper says, I'm so proud of you.
Oh.
You got a comment.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
That they say that they're very proud of you.
Thank you. Yep.
Have you ever suffered from PTSD? How did you handle it?
Counseling, therapies, stuff like that, and fighting.
So fighting has helped you deal with it. It hasn't triggered you?
No, I love fighting. It takes away, it lets me just be free.
Okay.
So I love fighting, and it's stress relief when it comes to training. Yeah, it's amazing. It's my therapy.
When did you find out that it was actually helping you?
When I left special operations and went to the regular army, it was really hard for me. I was in the army 6.5 years. 3 of those years I was with a Ranger regiment, 1st Ranger Regiment at Hunter Airfield, and then I went to a Special Forces unit in Japan. For about 1.5 years, I was attached to those guys, and then for my last 1.5 years, almost 2 years, I was with a regular army unit. And I really had to calm down and really wind down because I was like on a different level. All my other sergeants, I got out as a sergeant. I was like really young too. And they used to like have like an intervention, like, hey, Sergeant Stell, you got to calm down, man. We're just like regular army life, man. So like I went through counselings and things like that, and really just kind of molded me back to like regular life, I should say. So when I did get out the army, the transition wasn't as shocking as going from special operations right to civilian life. I went to the regular army for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years first. So that transition really got me to calm down, kind of relax. And it was during that transition that I started doing martial arts. And I really started to develop a passion for it. I was like, I think it was one of those times I was going through a lot back then. So one of the things I remember going through my stuff, like, man, depressed, like, man, I wish I could just like go back to the days when I was young and just boxing and things like that. And crazy enough, like one day I had some old boxing gloves, like fell out of my closet just randomly. And I was like, shit. I was like, man, and I was walking one day, I forgot where I was going, and I saw this gym, and they had like a big boxing ring, and then they had like jiu-jitsu on another side. And I was like, shit, I should just go in, you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever. Like, I'm not in the best place or moves, you know, whatever, man. Can't remember what was going on at the time. But, yeah, and then I just, you know, it was a place called The Complex in Georgia. And I started training, started boxing again. And then I was there. They're like, hey, man, you might as well do jiu-jitsu while you're here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already doing like Army combatives. And I had
Yeah.
already like experienced jiu-jitsu overseas. Another story. How I got in MMA. That's another story. That's how I got in MMA. But I was like, all right, well, fuck it. I know this stuff works. So I went and did that. And yeah, that's when I really just, it became like a daily part of like life. After work, I would go train. And that became like, just a daily thing of stress relief. I wasn't 100% serious at the time, but it was like I was competing, I was winning.
Mm-hmm.
I was winning, I was losing, I was competing, and I was learning. I was growing. I was like free. I was building friendships and bonds. So yeah, that's when I really like started to fall back in for martial arts.
Now, when your anxiety and certain triggers, how do you ground yourself?
Oh, I'm in a really nice place these days, and I'm really like, I don't know, just peaceful. I just, you know, I don't know, man. Training helps a lot, and then I just don't let things get to me these days. Like I'm just at a peaceful place. Like I'm really, um, compared to where I was back then, I'm a whole different person now. They say if you still view life the same at 30 as you did it, was 23, you wasted 7 years of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a growth thing, just living, going through life, experiencing different things. Like, friends of mine didn't make it. Certain friends of
Mm-hmm.
mine have really bad PTSD where they're still struggling. It affects everyone differently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where like, hey, you can, you know, choose to live in the past and sulk in your own, stuff, or you can just kind of keep moving forward, understand that life goes on. And no matter what you look at, that's what you're going to get. So if I go out in the world and I look for the negative, I'm going to find it. If I go out into the world and I look for the positive, I'm going to find it. So once you understand that and the way that your mind works with the universe, like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not gonna say I'm not always in a good mood or every day is a great day, but for the most part, when I wake up, I'm looking for the good in the day, and usually I find it.
Yeah. I know PTSD is not easy at all. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, people minimize it. People think it's fake. People think
Mm-hmm.
you're exaggerating. Then
I
you
was
know what?
diagnosed with anxiety, so it was like a lighter form of PTSD. But yeah.
Yeah. But I know people minimize it and they think it's not real when in fact it is. And it's like, congratulations to you that you have no idea what it is, but it does exist. You know what I mean? You can't minimize it because you've never experienced it. And people who have anxiety, it's part of it. You know what I mean? Maybe you haven't reached the the full diagnosis of PTSD, but it is real. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people find or are looking for a way to heal. And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I do this, their fight story, because of the importance for me for martial arts and healing with PTSD or anything like that. I find that there's a balance. Like it's a way to heal. It's a way to find a grounding technique. You have
Mm-hmm.
to learn a lot of discipline, mentally, physically, emotionally to do martial arts. And it heals. And a lot of people think, oh, well, you're aggressive. Not me, but I am,
I think you are. Why else do you
but
like fighting? You
I
like the
like it,
sport.
but I don't like the blood. You know what I mean? I don't mind it, but I just don't like seeing blood. I just,
Okay.
for what, and then everybody's like, you're in the wrong sport. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but,
Yeah.
I just don't want anybody to get hurt. But it's a
Mm-hmm.
great way to release all of that anxiety, all that stress.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that people need is support. And you find that when you find your home at a
Yes.
martial arts school. So, what was your support? How did you find that support system? Because if you would have stayed in that toxic school, you probably wouldn't have reached all of the stuff that you've reached. It might have hindered you even more and caused you to be more aggressive, or it wouldn't have healed your anxiety. It wouldn't have shown you how to get through.
You have some great points and great questions. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Fortunately for me, it was the first gym that I joined
Mm-hmm.
in Georgia when I lived in Georgia before I got out of the military. That was like a home gym. It was called the Complex, and I
Mm-hmm.
had some really good. Justin Flood, RS was like my original team, like owners of that gym, and they were amazing. So like that's what helped me a lot. That camaraderie and that genuine brothership
Mm-hmm.
and sisterhood from the people who were my friends and teammates back then. When I joined the other gym in Michigan, Yeah, you're right. It was a toxic environment, and it was like a miserable experience. Like, yes, I learned some good stuff, but it was
Mhm.
really it was a gym that had I stayed there, no, I would have never, reached potential. I would have probably, it was just a bad place to be mentally in that gym. How did I find my team? Um, Going back to when we talked about how you only see two fights. Remember he said that you
Mhm.
only saw two fights. Well, this is around the time that I discovered that as well. I think I had been wanting to go pro for a long time with that gym, and they were like, "No, there's just a lot of BS sticking me
Mhm.
around." Skipping a lot of BS stories. I finally had enough and was like, "Hey, man, like none of my fights counted. Like what the fuck is up with this?" Da, da, da. I'm trying to not go into an hour-long story here. So I ended up. There was like some final straw stuff that pissed me off, and I finally ended up leaving and was like, you know what, I'm out. And I didn't have any gym. I was like, I'll just train on my own, fucking,
Mhm.
and stay in an environment like that.
Mhm.
So I started training. I started hitting up promoters, and I found like my last amateur fight was a title fight in Ohio.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? I don't have an official gym, so I had like a bunch of teammates and friends who I had met throughout my journeys, who were like all over. And I'm a free spirit. I like to travel. I like to meet new people. So I would like meet people and just train, like And I was always a badass. So I would like train in the garage. I would train outside. I go to people's houses. We would do like super like long training sessions out the garage with teammates, and like
Mhm.
so I was just training myself. And one of my old buddies, I ran into him at the gym one day. He was also at the Coopers. He had left before me for the same reasons.
Mhm.
And we didn't really know each other, but we had heard of each other.
Okay.
So it was like a very tense kind of thing when we met. And we kind of broke bread. We realized that we headed the same place for the same reasons. And he's like, hey, man, you ever heard of Michigan Top Team? And I'm like, no, but every gym that I went to, I didn't like after that because
Mhm.
I was like gym searching, but I
Yeah.
didn't really find a place to call home. So I just trained on my own. And I was just like, well, fuck it. I'm just going to fight. I'll do my last amateur fight on my own, get the title, and go pro. And I joined Michigan Top Team like 3 weeks before the fight. I had already been training, and they were just so awesome. They were so welcoming. They trained. It was hard training. And they were like, hey, they just met me, and it was like, hey, man, if you need someone to come and corner you for this fight, we'll come to Ohio. I'm like, man,
Mhm.
you guys don't even know me. I just joined. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
it was just like a really friendly environment. And I fought my last amateur fight, won that title, put it in my shrine at home, and with Michigan Top Team, I kept training. Eventually, they hooked me up with a pro fight. We together kind of did it and got a pro fight, and the rest was history. Yeah.
When you were in the army, you
Mm-hmm.
learned a lot of skills.
Mm-hmm.
Have you used those skills when you're fighting?
Yes. You want me to elaborate, huh? Mental toughness, mainly,
Yeah.
mainly mental toughness. When it comes to like army combatives, it's more
Mhm.
like a watered down jujitsu, like combatives. So, what I say, if there's anything that I use from the military, it's going to be the mental toughness, the
Mhm.
ability to not quit, to keep going, to be willing to die in the cage. That's what I bring from the army. The
Mhm.
fear of death is like irrelevant. Like I'm going in there and I'm willing to put my all in the line. And whatever happens, it'll be what it is. But I know in that cage, I'm willing to, give it my all. And I'm not quitting. I'm not backing down.
Mhm.
So that's more so what I took from the military.
Now, the military also taught you different like red flags.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Well,
so hmm?
yeah. What kind of reflex?
Like just to know when an environment isn't right, when
Yeah.
something is wrong with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
What red flags, based on how you were trained and everything, because I know you have to use it in your day-to-day life. There's just no way you can't use it. Um,
Anxiety, right? Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with it. You just need to learn how to balance everything, and you're perfectly
Yeah.
fine. Um, what red flags were you able to see whenever you would go to these other gyms that just didn't feel like home because you knew something was wrong with them?
So I'll say the red flags from gyms came from when my time was at Cooper's when I was in that cult
Mhm.
gym. Now I know that if I see certain things like that, like I'm like, So red flags. Let's see. When when they try to like start to embark on your personal life and try to when they try to make your personal life like their responsibility, when they try to start to control your personal life, that's a red flag. Um, when they try to make themselves seem all benevolent
Hmm.
and like they can do no wrong, that's a red flag. Because one of the other things at the gym I was at, one of his laws was like my word is law. Like he was like his word was above all. So like when they try to make it seem like they're benevolent, yeah. Or another big red flag is, say you walk into a gym and they're talking bad about other gym members or teammates, and they're talking to you. You got to be careful about how people talk about other people when they're not around, because that's how they talk about you when
Yeah.
you're not around. And one of the things at that gym is this guy, he would call you in the office and he would badmouth everyone when they weren't around. And then you'd see him with that person and he's like, oh, yeah, this so and so, so and so. So if you
Yeah.
go into a gym and they're talking bad about its members and they're giving you everyone's dirt and grimy, like, it's probably not a place you want to be in, because that's probably
Hmm.
what they're going to do to you when you're not around. It's probably not a good place to be. You're going to a place where it's ego driven and they're trying to like hurt you, or it's like something to prove every time you go. I got it. If it's day one, yeah, it's like a gym thing, sure. But if you're there and you're training for like weeks or months, and you're constantly getting hurt, things like that, that's a red flag, because that's an environment like you probably don't want to be in, especially if you
Hmm.
have fights coming up, because you're getting hurt. You shouldn't be constantly getting hurt in training. That's a red flag. Yeah. What else we got? Yeah, stuff like that. There's other ones, but mainly stuff like
Yeah.
that. You think they're financially driven? It's all about the money.
Hmm.
Stuff like that.
Is there
But
a fight that stands out the most for you?
yes, there is. Let's see.
Do
I would
tell.
say my second fight.
Second fight, where? Amateur, professional? Which one?
My second professional fight. Yep. So,
Okay.
my first fight, I just knocked out this guy who was supposed to be like this super amateur badass, expected to win, whatever. No one wanted to fight him. I took it. My second fight, same story. Really hard getting a fight. This guy had like 8, 9 fights. He was
Hmm.
like considered a badass, one of the top guys in Michigan at the time. And here's me, 1-0. No one wanted to fight me. They're like, hey, man, we'll bring you out and fight this guy. And I was like, oh, sure. Okay, whatever. So going into that fight, everyone who didn't know me or train with me, like, yeah, this guy's about to kill him. Like, it's
Yeah.
whatever. Like, okay, cool. Went into this fight, and my ego got the best of me, and I underestimated the guy. Sometimes I get into it, and I'm like having fun, and he gives me a head kick to the face, drops me. And I won this fight, by the way, but he gives me a head kick to the face and drops me. And no shit, like looking at the replay, like in hindsight, I like literally just like pile drive. Like
Hmm.
the referee could have legitimately stopped it. But immediately, like as I fell, I grabbed him. You know what I'm saying? And like
Hmm.
and we went to the ground, and then he gets a rear naked choke. Has all hooks in, has me on the ground, choke is in tight. I'm like, fuck, man, I'm seeing stars. Like,
Oh.
and literally he has the choke in, I can't breathe. Has me flattened out. And I'm like, fuck. And my brain is like, shit, I'm getting choked right now. And I just remember hearing like this motivational speech from this guy I listened to. And like everything just went black. And I like started hearing like voices of, like in the crowd, like my friends and family, and this motivational guy was like, fuck this guy. And I was like, I'm getting out of this choke or I'm going to sleep. I was like, that's it. That's all there is to it. I'm getting
Yeah.
out. I'm going to sleep. So I don't know, man. I escaped it and scrambled out, get into the guard. He's like trying ground and pound. Now the kick effects are wore off. I got my senses back,
Hmm.
and I'm elbowing the guy in the head, cut him open from the bottom, split him open, and the bell rings. So that was one of the things in my life. I was like, holy shit, I thought I was done. Like I got kicked in the head, was getting choked. It was over. Like I thought I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
Round 2 came out. As soon as it started, I hit him with a combo, dropped him, choked him out. Like in the beginning of round 2,
Yeah.
complete 360 turnaround. Fight was over. And it was like one of the fight of the nights, and it was like, holy fucking shit. But yeah, that was one of the proudest moments, because honestly, man, I wasn't even conscious. I was like barely there. Like I just
Wow.
remember like hearing nothing. Like I'm not losing. Like I'm getting out of this or I'm going to sleep.
And you had enough time to recover from that?
Yeah, that was like a long time ago. No.
I mean like in between like the rounds.
Yeah, yeah, I get upset when people hit me. I'm like, I take offense to it. Like, it's like certain people just fight or flight. You
Yeah.
get hit and you buckle, or you get hit and you're like, "Fuck you." So when you hit me, it's like, "Fuck you." So,
Just like that.
yeah, fuck you, just like that.
When
Yeah.
you go
So,
into the ring or into the cage, is your thought, because I know some fighters that want to do, I'm going to put on a show,
hmm
right? And sometimes when they go in to put on a show, they end up losing because their mind, I believe, is stuck on entertaining, right? Like, let's see how long, or
showboating.
I'm not really sure what they're thinking, but they lose track of, okay, I'm going to entertain them and I'm going to put on a show, but I'm going to show them my skills
hmm
and I'm going to finish it. So when you go in there, what's your mental state as? I'm going to finish or put on a show? And when you put on a show, what do you mean by that?
Another good question. I went through phases, right?
Yep.
So in the beginning, throughout my entire amateur and first half of my pro career was, hey, fuck this, I'm going to finish. I
Mm-hmm.
don't care about putting on the show. The show will be when I finish. It's going to be a
Mm-hmm.
show because I'm going for the finish, and it was always a show because I'm going in there to finish the guy. The second half was more of an intelligent type of thing because people, they started to, they watch video, they watch and they study you, so they started to fight me different. They started to fight me less of trying to fight me and more so just trying to survive and win by
Mm-hmm.
for default points. So I had to change the mindset and the mind frame. So now I go in there, I'm still going to finish, but I'm fighting more smart. I'm fighting more technical. I'm studying them a little more, and my mindset is less let me go destroy them right away, and it's more let me pick them apart. So that's my mindset now. It's not really about putting on a show. The show will be when I'm beating the shit out of the guy. But you know, yeah.
Yeah, it's important because people forget about the default points. They think that because they did X, Y, and Z, that they're just going to automatically win. When the other person is, all right, this person's going to do this person's going to do that, but if I balance it with this, then I'm automatically going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And people forget about that, which is a good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a balance now of knowing how to win,
Mm-hmm.
also putting on the show, and also finishing. So it's like a balance.
Yeah.
You got to do the steps to win the fight. If you want to showboat, sure, go for it. Sometimes I get into it and I like to stick my tongue out.
Yeah, I've seen your pictures. I've
Yeah,
taken
yeah,
some
yeah.
of them.
So I do have fun in there. Like when I'm really getting into it, I have fun because I take pleasure in breaking my opponent. So when I see them starting to break and I feel it, then I start to play around with them. I start to play with my food. I start to stick my tongue out, laugh at them. I talk to them, talk shit, and it breaks them further. Like I don't know. I like breaking an opponent. So
Mm-hmm.
I usually will do some of the showboating as I break them to further break them, and then I'm still going for my finish.
Mm-hmm.
At no point do I stop and say, let me appease the crowd.
Yeah.
Let me do no. If I'm doing something, it's just to fuck with my opponent.
Yeah, I feel, again, I've never been in the ring or the cage other than take pictures. So this is all just based on what I see.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when you have to put your mentality to entertain the audience, and now you're breaking your mind up in different sections where you should just have it all concentrating on the actual fight. Like, don't worry about the crowd. The only thing you need to worry about is being there, being present, and listening to your corner. And that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
I
Just
don't know.
fighting. The crowd will love to fight.
Yeah, but some people are too busy like listening, and it's just like, oh well, this person, and it's just like you're losing focus, and that's like another opportunity for your opponent to get one over you because they notice
Yep.
your focus isn't completely there. And it's,
Yep.
what people don't understand is like when you go into the cage or you go into the ring, it's you're putting your skills out there, but you're also your mental state because you have to focus. You have to
Mm-hmm.
separate yourself from everything and everything. Like you can't worry about what's going on in your personal life. Like
Yeah.
I've seen people who have gone into the ring or the cage and they just found out that their father or mother is in the hospital. They may not make it. Do you know what I mean? So like they have to completely separate themselves. And that obviously they're dedicating the fight to them.
Yeah.
But at that same time, it's, you know what I mean? Like they have to mentally separate.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So it's difficult and people just don't get it. They're like, oh, well, I would have done this. And I'm thinking like, no, you wouldn't have, because if that were me, I would have gone through that door, they would have closed it and I would have walked out the other door and that's it. Like, I'm good. Like, I am not playing. Like, I'm not built for that. Do you know what I mean? I'm not.
Right. Yeah.
I can train for it and I can spar with you, but I'm not going to be in an actual fight. No, thank you. I'm good. I'm good with that. Yeah, and people who've never been in an actual training or sparring or anything, they don't really understand how much it is. Because I wouldn't be able to do it because I can't think and listen at the same. Like, I just can't. Like, one time my coach was like, Iggy, throw a kick. And then he said something else, and I went to do the kick, and I landed right on my butt. And I'm like, did I at least get the target? And he's like, I have no clue, because in the middle of me doing the move, he told me something else. So then my mind switched to do something else, but my body was still in the middle of doing whatever the heck it was. Do you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be able to do it's just, no, it's not as simple as people think it is. And that's just me, just a one-on-one in the freaking, on the mats, and it's not even an actual training for anything. I couldn't even imagine training for an actual fight. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do the weight cut. I couldn't do any of that, like, because they say stress doesn't help weight cut. So guess what? I'm always stressed. So I guess I'm not cutting any weight. So it ain't happening. It just doesn't work. Actually, now that I say that, how do you deal with your weight cut when you have to fly in? Because don't they say, like, when you fly in, your weight goes up like a pound or something?
It can.
Because of the pressure.
It fluctuates. It fluctuates a pound or two anyway throughout the day. But I usually cut the bulk of my weight before I get there.
Okay.
So when I get there, I'll normally like to have about maybe 7 to 5 pounds left when I get there. And I normally just do that if there's a sauna, great. But what I've been doing is, like, the bathtub. I'll do like my hot water and then like the sweet sweat or the Ebeline. And I'll do my last 5 or 7 pounds like that usually. Unless it's 55. It's 55. It's a really easy cut. I don't have to do too much, just diet. Mm-hmm. And then I'll not eat the morning of, and I'll make that weight. You know what I'm saying? Like, pretty simple. Hot shower for an hour. But 45, I have to do a lot more dieting, a lot more preparation. And then I'll get down 10 pounds the week of. By the time I catch that flight, I should be within like 5 pounds, 5 to 7 pounds. Won't really eat. I'll lose another pound or two. Then I'll do like the bathtub thing, lose my last 5. It's miserable. It sucks, and I'm angry when I do it.
Yeah. I mean, I get miserable, and I just hear people doing it, and I get miserable for them. And it's just like, you know what? I'll eat for you. Thank you. You know what I mean?
Why am I doing this?
Yeah, it's not. It is. And that's, some of the times, like, people like to, I know some fighters get upset with me when I take their pictures because I don't go in order. Mm-hmm. Like, because I'm just taking their pictures. It's not like the face-off pictures. These are just your portrait pictures and stuff. They get upset with me. But it's like, okay, I'm not going to make this other fighter wait forever to take their picture because your opponent isn't here yet. Like, I'll take your picture. I don't mind, but I'm not going to make somebody else wait that's already here. That I can take their pictures and boom, go do whatever you need to do. Like, I'm not going to be that person. That I don't want to be responsible if they pass out or something because I decided that, I'm going to wait for, you know what, I'll take the extra 5-10 minutes to organize it when I get to, it's not supposed to be easy for me. It's supposed to be easier for you guys, the fighter. At least that's the way I do it. I don't know.
You're one of the good ones.
Not many people would agree, but that's okay.
I agree. I'm with it. Okay. I don't like when we have to like weigh in and like you have to wait for everyone and the food's like sitting there and you're like starving like shit. Get there, man. I'm hungry.
Exactly.
Like, want you to do a photo shoot while you're still hungry. Like, come on, let me get some food and water in my system. Weigh me in. Yeah, and then I'll do it. I'm there to fight, but it's like, man, that's like, ugh.
Yeah, I try getting them out of the way. Even if they didn't weigh in, but I know they're going to weigh in, I'll just get their pictures out of the way, go weigh in, do what you need to do, and we'll deal with it later.
After you eat and rehydrate, so it's like you can ask me questions and I won't bite your head off.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm just like, nope, you want to bite? Go ahead, yell, scream, whatever you need to do, because I get cranky when I'm hungry and you guys have been starving yourselves for I don't even know how long, so I'm good.
Yep.
No, we're good. Yep. What would you like people to know about you?
Let's see. Well, they can know I'm a badass, but I guess when they see me fight, they'll know that. So I'm a fair guy, man. I'm honest. I'm fair. I'm honorable. You're good to me. I'm good to you. If you're my opponent, I'm going to be bad to you no matter what. But after the fight, we're cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm just a human, man. Well, not really, but sure. I'm a beast, but yeah, I'm just like, really down to earth, man. Really cool. I'm easy to approach. Like, as long
Yeah.
as you're not my opponent, you're good with me. Now, if you are my opponent, then my goal is to probably rip you apart. But afterward, we can do pictures and be cool. But yeah, just, I don't know. Follow me at King_Solo Beast. That's my Instagram. Facebook, my name's Darius Estelle. Yeah, I'm just pretty cool guy, man. Down to earth. I like to fight. I like to train. I like to teach people. And I like to see other people succeeding. As long as they're not in my way. Got any more questions?
I do not. Actually, I do. Tomorrow's 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you celebrate 4th of July? Does it cause you any stress? Does it cause you any triggers?
No, I love it. So today I'm actually over at my family's house right now. I'm visiting them. They're barbecuing. We're barbecuing today. But no, I just, yeah, I mean, no, it's just another day to be grateful and thankful that you're still here.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly never thought I'd see past 21. I thought I was going to go to war and be over, but here I am. So, loving life. I'm loving that I'm here. I'm loving my family. My niece is peeking into the other room. But no, yeah, it's just another day. It's another great day to be alive. It's a great day to be here.
Yeah. Thank you for your service.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for being the person that you are. And we look forward to seeing you maybe in August, maybe in November.
Definitely.
We shall see.
We shall see. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let me shout out my sponsors before I go.
Of course.
Yep. Life Medical Center. Dr. Mike Elderani. Appreciate you, brother. He's the one who actually x-rayed me and patched me up with my foot and ankle being all messed up. Does my medicals, man. Doc is awesome. Dr. Elderani, Life Medical Center. Awesome. Fadi the Solution. That's two different businesses, but hooks up with the cars, Detroit Automotives, and he also has an accounting firm, Fadi the Solutions. My guy. Appreciate you, brother. Carlos Correa. It's my manager. Chess Moves Management. Thanks for all you do, organizing the fights and things like that. Hopefully for August, we'll be back out there. Javier Cardenas, he's my friend of mine, one of my coaches, and also sponsors me. Exotic Flooring does flooring out in Michigan. Appreciate you, brother. Let's see. Ooh, who else do I got that I'm forgetting? My mind goes to blank when I have a messed up mistake. Man, I think I got it. Oh, Zach. Zach always sponsors me, man. He's been my guy since I've been coming out there and fighting with you guys. He comes to my fights, supports me. Appreciate you, Zach. He always shows me love, so I got to shout Zach out. And thanks to Michigan Top Team, Detroit Jiu-Jitsu Academy, Formula, Assembly. Appreciate you guys. Yeah, hey, and thank you, Iggy. You're awesome. You asked some great questions, man. That was a good interview. You did it with a smile too. Look at you.
We have to.
Yep.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time. Enjoy your weekend with your family.
Thank you.
Have a safe and quick recovery, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Have a great day.
Bye. You too.
Gone.